This is a full accounting. There are details of repeated, torturous, terrorizing, depraved abuse.
Decades of abuse at the hands of hundreds of priests within the Archdiocese of Baltimore laid out publicly for the first time. The findings from the Attorney General's 4-year-long investigation, damning, disturbing, and soul-searing.
I knew about this, but when you see it together, it does sear one's soul.
This morning, Archbishop William Lori's message as the Catholic faithful gather this Easter Sunday, and the changes survivors hope are made to protect others.
I was amazed that there was a town standing where I was standing, because all I saw were, branches or metal or, just insulation from housing.
Plus, communities rebuilding from the ground up. The work being done by Maryland Red Cross volunteers in Mississippi following a round of deadly tornadoes. And something positively Baltimore, the exhibit at the Baltimore Museum of Art shining a light on hip-hop's place in our culture. That's all this morning on 11 TV Hill. And hello everyone, I'm Jason Newton. Welcome to 11 TV Hill. The Attorney General's report on the abuses within the Archdiocese of Baltimore is having a major effect from the legislature to the church pews. Shortly after the report's release, I sat down with Archbishop William Lori for an exclusive interview, and this morning he shares what he's praying for this Easter Sunday. More than 450 pages and the lives of hundreds more spelled out as victims of church abuse.
The enormity of the abuse, I myself felt enormous sadness and shock and dismay. I knew about this, but when you see it together, it does sear one's soul.
Archbishop William Lori reacting to the State Attorney General's report released Wednesday.
And what we learned is that the incontrovertible history uncovered by this investigation is one of pervasive, pernicious, and persistent abuse by priests and other archdiocese personnel.
It points to abuse, a wide-reaching cover-up, priests avoiding harsh consequences, and a clear view of the extent of the power and authority that clergy use to exploit the trust of children. I sat down with the Archbishop for this interview not long after the report's release. A lot of them, and people you're talking about, their faith is unwavering. They will always have faith in the message. Their faith in the messenger may have changed over the past few years, especially as some of this dates back about 80 years or so. Is that relationship damaged, do you think? Is it a permanent damage that's dumped to some folks when it comes to the messenger?
Mm-hmm. Undoubtedly, sexual abuse and the amount of it in the life of the church in the past, it doesn't matter if it was in the past but that has weakened some people's faith. And I think we have to recognize that's what scandal does. It gives people a reason not to believe. A lot of people, though, have been saddened, but they are steadfast. I've experienced from people in the pews a lot of love and support, especially during these days. And I do think that people love their priest, and our priests have borne a very heavy burden with this as well. And people do love their priests. And the other night at the Chrism Mass, we had about 150 priests gathered together, and the congregation gave them a standing ovation. Yeah. So no doubt this has had an effect on the church's mission, a difficult effect on the church's mission. But the mission goes forward because it's bigger than any one of us.
I was reading an article, and there's some parishioners say, well, the only trust I have is the trust in God. And I'm guessing at some dinner tables, maybe there are some folks who aren't as steadfast. Mm-hmm. So what kind of teaching goes into them to bring them back to the point where they were before this was front of mind?
A couple of things. First of all is listening and conversation. Secondly, oftentimes it's the case that people do not know what the church has done over decades to change not only its policies and procedures, but also its culture. And the changes have been profound. I've lived through it and I've seen it.
No, but I'm curious, when it comes to this, what do you pray for? I think we know what parishioners pray for, but for you, when you look towards the future, what's in your heart?
I pray first and foremost, and this is part of my prayer every day. I pray for the victims, survivors of sexual abuse. I know many of them. I've sat with them, talked to them, listened to their story. I spoke to some just today. And I pray that they will experience peace of mind and heart. I pray that this report will bring some closure.
Archbishop Lurie told me that he supports the report's recommendations, and Maryland's General Assembly is making progress addressing the issue of statute of limitations. The same day of the report's release, the House passed a bill eliminating that statute of limitations for child sex abuse lawsuits. Governor Wes Moore plans to sign that legislation.
The pain that these victims are feeling does not have an expiration date.
Governor Moore could sign the legislation as early as Tuesday. That's when he will sign the first bills of the General Assembly session.